Hi everyone, delonewolf here. Welcome back to some EVE Online, and in today's video I am mining a little bit because I want to talk a little bit about Feldspar and Tritanium, and I also of course want to take a look at the new effect that CCP has introduced with the first patch of 2019, the one for January 15th, where we basically get a new animation when an asteroid has been depleted by mining activities. I think it's pretty cool, of course, although personally I feel like I don't really need it. I do tend to always keep an eye on my target, on my active target and my drones mining, and also on the drones window as well, where I can very easily spot whether or not they are still mining or if they are inactive. So it doesn't help me that much, but on bigger rocks sometimes you do have this massive animation all of a sudden, so you have no more excuse for inactive drones basically with this introduction from CCP. I also do think it's a little bit of a missed opportunity. It's basically a single animation that is shown when the asteroid is depleted. It would have been pretty cool if you could basically have several stages. Let's say that the asteroid is 50% depleted. You start to see some cracks and some gas coming out of the asteroid, and at 75% it's got a second stage, and then finally you have the despawning that happens when everything has been depleted. So it could give like a little bit more visual feedback than just the depletion of the video, but it again does show CCP's commitment to constantly working on and improving the graphics for EVE Online. So I think that it is pretty cool. Although it could have been even better, but I think that's the case with most things. Now, what I also wanted to show you guys is another little improvement that they added here. Here is the activity tracker. It is now actually in a window. That is pretty cool. Always having to go to that full-sized activity tracker was a little bit annoying. This basically gives you plenty of options, and here you can see on my industry, manufacturing, charges, modules, others, lots of stuff that is actually starting to go up in level for me. So yeah, I'm still working pretty hard on my industry, and the title Tritanium for this video is because I want to share with you guys another lesson that I've learned while doing this industry, and that is basically the importance and the rather unique situation or the unique function that Tritanium has at the moment in the economy. Because the way I've been purchasing my resources at the moment is that I put a buy orders for the same budget for every mineral. So let's say 20 million. Put that budget up, try to buy Isogen, Megasite, Zitron and Tritanium for around 20 million. Then the next day that usually gets bought, so I sell some other stuff, bring those resources back and start doing manufacturing. And in just a couple of weeks that I've now been doing industry for charges and modules, I already ran out of Tritanium twice, which means that I basically had to put up an extra buy order, buying maybe double to triple the amount of Tritanium in budget, in ISK, than I do for all the other minerals. And that is actually really a bit of important information, not only for people that don't know a lot about industry like me, and that want their industrial activities to just have a smooth running. So you need enough resources, and so know that you need more Tritanium than you need of anything else. I have not run out of any of the other minerals, although I'm sure that there is basically a next bottleneck as well. It looks like all the others are far more close to one another when it comes to the amount of ISK that you're pumping into producing items in EVE Online for the industry. But Tritanium, head and shoulders above the others. You need way more of it. You need to buy way more of it, and that puts all the EVE Talk information on basically the market information on minerals into quite a different perspective than what I had before. If I take a look at that and then to also try to keep, oh, there we go, it's gone. So I do want to show you guys the animation while we'll get started. There you go. So that's the new despawning animation. Pretty cool. That one 3.6, we can get a little bit closer to that. But what I was saying here about the minerals, basically, if we look at the price history for Isogen, you can see we've gone down from 40 ISK to around 10 to 15 ISK here. For Pyrite, it's well, from 5 ISK and then down now to sometimes 3-4 ISK down here. And Tritanium has basically been able to stay pretty steady, 4 to 5 ISK, and that is actually, I think, a local chart here. But Tritanium is far smaller, far more available, far more ubiquitous across EVE Online in general, that basically I always consider Tritanium at this price and then Pyrite to be at a lower price to be a complete reverse situation, something that is completely illogical. And I always described this as Pyrite being super cheap. 1 year lows, that is the case, but I always describe Pyrite and Isogen basically as unnaturally cheap compared to Tritanium and Mexilon, which tend to be, Mexilon tends to be a bottleneck in nullsec, and so that one tends to be a little bit better in price as well. But looking at it from now an industrial perspective, where I'm actually using Tritanium myself, it's the exact opposite. It is not Isogen and Pyrite that are super cheap because they've gone down in price. It's Tritanium that is expensive because it has retained its price despite its increased availability as well. And the reason for that is because it is so bulky. You need so much of it that moving it costs a lot of cubic meters and thus a lot of effort for players. And that's actually a big premium, I think, that we are paying for Tritanium at the moment. That's actually super important information, because for my personal plan here, what I'm doing here, I think, is going to become part of my routine. I do enjoy mining, but the prices for minerals in general are so low that I never thought it was actually worth it. But having to do several extra trips to Jita just to pick up Tritanium is a huge waste of time. And so from that perspective, I think it could be worth it to mine for your own Tritanium locally if you can and if you enjoy the activity enough to do so. But that will, I think, save you on a lot of extra trips when it comes to gathering your resources for your industrial facilities to keep all of your industry jobs up and running as much as possible, and thus try to make as much profit as possible as well. It's a very important lesson that I learned here. I was very surprised by that twice, so I just kept, you know, making munitions, making some extra modules, trying to find those that have a decent margin, and then now twice already in just a couple of weeks I want to do another batch, and there we go. I'm running out of Tritanium. I actually need to go back right now, sell more stuff, and come back with extra Tritanium in order to keep everything up and running. And so this is actually, I think, one thing that you could do. You could also go for compressed ores if you can refine locally and things like that. That's actually the second bit of information that's actually really important for miners, I would say, that do not mine in order to use those resources themselves. But from this perspective, yeah, I do think mining for your own Tritanium could be a pretty good idea. Next up, I'll also mine a little bit of that solid pyroxeres after we're done with this mineral, because I also want to show you guys a bit of compression in this video. As I was saying, this is actually really important information. And from the perspective of what I just told you, that Tritanium is in this weird spot, in this annoying spot where it is actually expensive because it's so difficult to move it. I have this theory that basically it's also probably going to be the most valuable compression that you can do. I think that when you have the raw asteroids, you'll have a certain estimated price, and then when you compress that, you'll have another estimated price. And well, are transporters going to be that happy or going to be willing? Oh, there we go, another animation, very good. And then we'll take that one, mine repeatedly. But yeah, you also have a little bit of an audio tune there, so you absolutely have no excuse now when it comes to inactive drones. And what I was saying about compression, yeah, do transporters and traders care that much if you are compressing pyroxeres, especially when the focus of it is, let's see what you get out of that. You should be able to see that. Yep, there you go. Especially when the focus, for instance, is to get those 5 units of Noxium, do they care that you have to transport solid pyroxeres or compressed solid pyroxeres or just a patch of Noxium? I really don't think so. I don't think that it is that important, or that they are willing to pay that big of a premium for compressed solid pyroxeres. But when it comes to dense Veldspar, of course, if we do a show info on that and then go into industry, it's 100% Tritanium, and Tritanium is so annoying to produce that I do think they'll be super happy and willing to pay an extra price for compressed dense Veldspar. And probably I would say, more than the others. And so that's what we're going to test as well with a little bit of extra solid pyroxeres here from this asteroid right here. Do we mine the whole thing? 1100. Maybe we can keep mining this whole thing as well, just to take a look at the animation when it comes to a different type of asteroids. But I do want to reiterate here, Tritanium, the bottleneck in my industry so far, had to do 2 extra trips for it, and actually an expensive mineral because it is so annoying to have to transport it. You need so much of it that it actually is a massive mineral compared to the others, and as a result, that is why it hasn't crashed down in the same way that Isogen has crashed down and Pyrite has crashed down with the mining changes that CCP has brought to the game. All the minerals in general have become super abundant, super easy to mine, far in excess of what is actually being destroyed in the game at the moment. But it is annoying to have to transport Tritanium, and so that is why that one is still expensive. I think that is actually pretty interesting. Definitely shows that the sandbox economy can always keep surprising us, and that, yeah, to my surprise, Tritanium is basically no longer the cheapest mineral. It is still the most needed and the easiest to gather, but it is not the most expensive, the least expensive. That's actually Pyrite. You have to pay less for Pyrite than you do for Tritanium. I always thought that this was like a crazy world, that this is a situation, but experiencing this now in industry, no, it makes a lot of sense, because it takes a lot less hassle to bring in your pyrite for your manufacturing compared to having to bring in all your tritanium for your manufacturing. And so it also shows that for miners that do not use the minerals themselves, compression is really important, especially of the denser, the bigger, the bulkier minerals there, because that gives you that extra bonus for transporters, which they will be willing to pay for. It is actually really important. If I would be mining now, I would not be reprocessing, I would be compressing everything, or mining for ISK, I would say I would not be reprocessing, I would compress everything, bring that to a trade hub and see what kind of ISK you get for that. So let's see, is that stacking up to a little bit more? That's taking a surprising amount of time. But usually these have maybe 20k or something like that. So let's see if we can grab the whole asteroid. In the meantime, we actually have a Providence that is at my research station. Okay, kind of weird. This is something that I've seen. In fact, just before making this video, I saw a small fleet go to the reprocessing here. I think it was like 4 Hulks, an Orca, and an Obelisk. So that's a nice little operation. And yeah, this is really great, of course. Whoops, where is it? There we go. So it's the same animation here as well. It does look pretty cool. So we are going to dock up on the reprocessing max yield. And yeah, that activity, that is why I have all of these installations open to the public, right? We've got a place to store your stuff. In the Astrahoos, we've got a reprocessing. We've got some moon mining happening over there, which on the day of release of this video should be up and running. We've got manufacturing, which I'm now using myself as well. And then up there, we also have my, right there, my research station, which it's so awesome, right? You also have a Mastodon now that is taking a look at that. You've got freighters. I often see freighters coming and going from the manufacturing right arrow, which is really awesome. And I absolutely love that. I love that this is now a little co-incorporated space where people can do their own thing and can experience all of these aspects of the game. So let's dock up and let's take a quick look at that compression theory of mine, see if that is holding up. One thing that could maybe throw a wrench in my plan, in my idea there, is of course that I think compression does the exact same thing for all of those ores. So let's say that it compresses the volume by 50% or 100% or something like that. I think it's going to do the exact same thing, and so from that perspective, perhaps it's not that great. But how am I going to test that? Let's see here. We've got 846,000 solid pyroxeres. That is a little bit less than that, but almost, so we could definitely test it. with 64k, and this is where, oh, pretty close, look at that, 846, 868 and 797. And so then what we have to do is just compress all of these, so 846, 868 and 797. So basically I need to get rid of just a little bit of this, let's say 2500, put that in here. 834, now it's less than that. So if the compressed price of this is higher than the compressed price of this, then obviously the bulky problem is a real one and people are willing to pay a premium. So let's try that. Compressing my solid Pyroxeres. There we go. That is now worth just under 1 million ISK. And now I'm going to compress this as well. There we go. And this is now worth a bit above 1 million ISK. It's not by that much, right? 30,000 ISK. But also remember, we started with a lower batch of raw Veldspar. And we can take a quick look at this one as well. It's not exactly enough. I can put in 5 more. That's not going to make a difference. But we can take a look at that as well. If I compress this, that is worth, well, 973,000 ISK compared to the 983 here. Look at where we come from, quite a bit less in the raw ore as well for Veldspar, showing that the compression of Veldspar, because it is 100% Tritanium, is valued higher by the market than, let's say, the compression of solid Pyroxeres, showing, I think, another hint that indeed the problem with Tritanium, or the problem in the mineral market at the moment, is not the availability of the minerals, but it's that Tritanium is expensive because it is so annoying to have to haul it, to bring it to where you are manufacturing. And I experienced that myself. Pretty damn cool. I love this. This is all part of the sandbox and of my experience in trying to get to learn some more industry in EVE Online. So I absolutely love it, and I hope that this can also help other people that want to do industry, of course, plan out their efficiency and get a bit more out of their playtime. I personally do plan to mine for my own, so let's actually put all of this in here, to mine for my own Tritanium here. I think that it can save me basically a third, maybe even 2/3 of my trips in order to get the minerals in Dital, and that it's absolutely worth it. So all I have to do here is, can I do reprocessing, please? That's compression, don't need that. Reprocess, there we go. Bring that into Tritanium, and then I'm going to use my transport ship to move that in the right arrow and keep manufacturing. So there we go, guys, another update on my industry adventure. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time.